We are honored to have Ann McGurty presenting to us today. She will be giving us what she calls a reality webinar demonstrating the life cycle of file management, how to index your items into PaperTiger working through her inbox. And we are excited that today she will also be covering the newest enhancement to our software, Digital Tiger, powered by Google Docs. We will be covering as much as possible within the hour allotted, but of course it's impossible to give every detail and address every workflow situation in a 1-hour webinar. The custom details are what you need and services for. Now let me tell you a little bit about Ann. Ann McGurty is CEO and founder of Strategize and Organize. Ann is a keynote speaker, productivity coach, organizational consultant, and author of the book Lost in Your Own Office, and a contributing author of the book Speaking Your Truth, Courageous Stories from Inspiring Women, Volume 2. Ann shows people how to work more effectively with less effort, whether you are a business owner, business head, or CEO, or an individual in a personal or professional setting. Ann improves productivity for individuals as well as organizations of all sizes and across all industries. Her entrepreneurial upbringing and corporate background mesh with her experience as a professional business process consultant and trainer to get the necessary results for each of her clients, and actually guarantees the results based on the agreement you make with her before she begins. She is currently running a special 30-day program that includes a 1-hour weekly 101 phone call. That's a total of 4 hours with Ann 101, and unlimited email quick questions. This package is usually a value of $1,500 for a 3-month program, but currently for only $297, you'll receive a 30-day coaching program to, number one, assess your organization, create the right plan customized for the way you work, identify the right tools, and create a plan for maintenance. So sign up today by midnight and you'll receive 2 months credit on your PaperTiger Online annual account. I'll be pasting Ann's contact information into the chat section for you to pick up, so contact her today and take advantage of the special offer. Ann may be in Colorado, but she is nationally recognized as an expert and works with people in person and virtually to customize a system to make their lives more productive and organized. Ann, thank you for your time and dedication to teaching others how to use PaperTiger more effectively and productively. Welcome. Thank you again.
All right. Well, thank you, Janet. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. And to all of you who are on the call today, thank you so much for taking your time. And I realize the value of your time is pretty incredible. So I want to make it as efficient and helpful as possible. And feel free, please, to use the chat area to request any questions that you may have, so that I can help focus things on your questions. And if you do not have the PaperTiger yet, as Janet said, she just put in the question section a link to my affiliate link so that you can sign up for the PaperTiger today and start using this new tool. Now, the big excitement, though, that everyone has been looking for is, how do I organize my paper files as well as my digital files? And digital files are any of those files that are on your hard drive or in your email that you just seem to be looking everywhere for. And I find very often when I work with clients that they are overwhelmed by this fact. So that this new product that the PaperTiger came out with, the Digital Tiger, is definitely the way to go today to help you be more efficient in finding information. An added benefit is that you can now access your information virtually because of the web-based product. So today I'm going to show you some of these basics, and I'm going to be adding a little lib here today because I've been working with so many different clients and finding out all the issues that they're having and realizing how common the questions are that so many people have. All right, so let's start. Okay, square one is you need a Paper Tiger online account. And if you don't have one, get one now at the end of this call and sign up into your Paper Tiger online account. Once you have a Paper Tiger account, you can log in based on a specific email account, which most likely will be your business or your home office email account. And then you create a specific password for you, and you may want to say that you want to keep the system online or signed in for, say, 7 days. Don't worry if you lose your password and you can't log in. We always have a mechanism so that we can email you your password so that you can get rebooted at any time there. And again, if you don't have an account, you can sign up. So let's sign in to the Paper Tiger account. Look, seeing everything okay there, Janet?
Yes, it looks good. Thank you.
Okay. So now everyone, you are seeing my Paper Tiger account. And since I'm a consultant, I've got lots of little extra databases. So you're going to see a lot more information that most people will have. But don't let that deter you. If you already have an existing Paper Tiger account, you will see that on the dashboard it talks about the notice of the upgrades that we've had with the Paper Tiger. Now, for those of you who have a desktop version of the Paper Tiger, obviously your screen is going to look very differently. If you are looking to want to be able to find your electronic information as well, you will naturally understand that it makes sense to upgrade your account to an online account because the electronic digital Tiger will not work with a desktop version. Okay, so now once you are in your Paper Tiger account, you are going to have your database. And the way to set up a database, I'm going to do a quick overview here of how it incorporates into the Digital Tiger, and then I will go back and look at the fundamentals of how you set up a regular basic Paper Tiger online account. When you set up a Paper Tiger online account, you create a database, which in my case, the name of my database is Strategize and Organize. So let's go ahead though and open up a new database and call it, we'll call it SNO Files for Webinar. And we are going to create a new database. So for those of you who don't have a Paper Tiger account, there it is. All right, so once you set up a Paper Tiger database, we've got SNO Files for Webinar. You're going to go ahead and you're going to look at it. And now you have what we call essentially a blank sheet. And in this blank sheet, you are now looking at how do I organize my office? Well, with the Paper Tiger, you want to start thinking about your office as, and all of the paper files that you have, as locations of where you're going to place your files. Now, for a lot of you, you might have papers all over the top of your desk, the back of your desk, on the floor, on the kitchen table if you're at a home office, or in a conference room. So you might be overwhelmed by the thought of what is a location? So a location in the Paper Tiger world is a function of what the paper is to you. And there's two basic words that we commonly refer to with the Paper Tiger. One is action, and one is reference. So let's think. You have a location that is going to be action for your action files. That might be current projects or things that are ongoing. And then you'll have reference files which is what people most commonly refer to as all their files. But in the Paper Tiger world, we're separating reference to be anything that you need and you refer to occasionally. Not necessarily the historical files, but things you'll refer to historically. Occasionally. So let's set up your basic two locations. You've got action, which is going to be location, and this is going to be, think of the action files of the files that you want to refer to most frequently. So these are located in the most convenient drawer in your office. So in my case, it's the right-hand drawer and top files of Anne's black lateral file. Okay? So when you look at my desk, it's right there to the right, and the drawer can only hold probably 50 files. But action files, you want to think, how many projects are you really involved with? And for most people, I find that they usually have 20 to 30 files in their action file drawer. So let's go ahead and we're going to put in 30 items. Now, how often do you review it? This is something that might be a little bit more important later down the line. So I'm not going to do anything with this. So we're going to go ahead and add its location. Now, I said that the other word that we're often going to refer to are reference files. Now, reference files, as I said, are going to be anything that's not active. These are files that we're going to call them the reference. So we're going to say files that are needed, however, not on a daily basis. Located in Anne's office behind her desk. So they may not be as convenient for me when I'm sitting at my desk. It's something where I may have to jump up and get it. But I'm not concerned about having to get up and get it because I'm not going to be referring to it often enough that it's going to interfere with the productivity and efficiency of my day. A reference file drawer commonly for people could be about 200 items, which means 200 files. So we're going to set up these two areas, the action and the reference, for the papers that we're going to go through. Now, as I mentioned, there might be some files that are very historical, and you're really not going to need to put them in your office because, number one, you just don't need them often enough, so why clutter up your physical office space with files that you need maybe once every 2 years? So let's go ahead and make a new location called Archive. And we'll say these are the files in the storage unit downstairs in the basement. And we might have, again, another 200 files downstairs in that drawer. Now, I want to make an interesting point here. We have now set up 3 locations: action, reference, and archive. When you are looking at purchasing your Paper Tiger online account, there are several different types that you can buy. There is the basic package, which is for 1 user and 2 locations. So that means there is a limitation there that you could only have an action and a reference area for files that you want to categorize. If you feel that you will need to index more than 2 locations, then you definitely would need to go upgrade your account or purchase the professional version. Is that the professional version? Yes, the professional version, so that you have several locations. Okay, So now that we've established that you have 3 locations, then the next thing that holds people back when they're setting up their filing system is they get a little overwhelmed with what to name the files. Because let's face it, everyone looks at a piece of paper and says things a little bit differently. They're saying, for instance, what do I call this piece of paper? So for instance, you might have a piece of paper that is it's your paper tiger notes from this call, for instance. So you're writing down a bunch of notes, and at the end of the day, you're going to want to put them in a file. So what you're going to do is you're going to say, wow, do I call that webinar notes? Do I call it organization? Do I call it paper tiger? Well, with the paper tiger system, it doesn't matter, because what's going to be different about it is that when you're setting up your file drawer, you are going to create labels for your files, and where the labels are going to be for the locations, and they're going to be numbers. So let's go ahead and choose the action and reference files, and we are going to go ahead and print these labels. And the system creates a PDF file of tabs to put into those little plastic tabs that you put into Pendaflex file folders. And what you'll see is the system is creating chronological numbers for your locations that you've set up. So there was the action files, and here are my reference files. So you now can take those Pendaflex hanging file folders and take these labels and put them into the plastic little tabs that you insert into those little Pendaflex slots. So I'm going to close this out. I want to show you something else. That was what we call the basic self-cup tabs, which comes with the basic version. The other versions of the Paper Tiger Online has an additional option where you can customize your labels that correlate to the Avery file folder labels. My favorite one is always the Avery file folder labels number 5167. It's their template 8167. When we use that template, you can go ahead then and generate the tabs, and you're going to see that it only has the name of the file and the number, and there's only one of them. So when you insert, there's little sticker sheets that are Avery sheets of 8167 that you buy at an office supply store. These are little stickers that you put on the cardboard tabs that insert into the plastic tabs for your Pendaflex file folders. Okay, so now that you know that you can set up your labels, you can now put all of those prepared Pendaflex file folders into your empty file drawer. Now, mind you, I know your drawers are going to be kind of full, so what you might want to do is go get some banker boxes and transfer out all of the files that are in your drawer right now, and then make way in your empty file drawer with the tabs of the action 1 through 30 and then your reference 1 through 200. And what you're going to do is be ready to start creating your Paper Tiger indexing system. Okay, so now we're going to go back. So as I said, you might have, you've cleared out your files. And you're going to, now what you're going to do is, looking at those pieces of papers, you're going to go through paper number 1. And paper number 1 may be your notes from today's webinar. So you are going to look at that piece of paper and you're going to ask yourself a question. is this something that is actionable, or is it reference? And then you're going to keep in the back of your mind archive. But since I didn't do labels for archive, I'm not going to be addressing that right this minute. Okay, so you look at the first piece of paper, and as I said, the first piece of paper was Paper Tiger Notes. So go ahead and you type in what you normally would have labeled a file folder and call it Paper Tiger Notes. But the trick is that most people don't remember that that's what they were referring to. So they may have been thinking, oh, well, that's regarding filing. It may be regarding Ann McGurty, because you know me and you knew it was my webinar. Or it may be organizing, or it may be under webinar. So all of these are key words that will prompt you to find the folder later. With the Paper Tiger, it gives you options that you can create a category for how you organize your files. I think when you're first getting started with Paper Tiger, let's kind of jump through the hoop of using this and not use the category right now, because I want the way I work with clients is I want to keep things as simple as possible. And categories may complicate things at the beginning. Later down the line, though, it'll be a valuable resource to help customize your filing system. You also have an action date. Now, in the Paper Tiger, you can create an action date, and this will help you to actually go ahead and organize your to-do projects, because you can put action dates on your files, and each morning when you open up your Paper Tiger, it will give you a list of what your reminders are. But we're not going to deal with that right now. So let's just go ahead and add to Action 1. And you are going to see that Action 1, we have Paper Tiger Notes. All right. Now, what I want to tell you is I have action files, Paper Tiger Notes, and say, for instance, later down the line, when I was going through my box of paper, I came across another item, which is, let's go to my location. It's going to be a reference item. And we are going to add a file. And it's going to be Paper Tiger one sheet. And what it might be marketing material, and it might just tell me a little bit about my registration number. When you had the desktop version, you would have registration numbers. So let's add that to reference number 1. Okay. Oh, actually, another thing I would do in there is every time I work with a client, reference number 1 is also I would say Ann McGurty's contact info. So I always put anything related to my Paper Tiger in there. And I might say the Monticello Company, all the things related to Paper Tiger. Save those changes. Now, all right, well, so here's like just a very basic file where you've got an action file regarding Paper Tiger. You've got a reference file regarding Paper Tiger. Okay, the next piece of paper that I come across is something regarding my book that I'm working on. So let's say, for instance, we have a book draft that I have to review the notes. So when you think of that, it's something I have to review notes. So this is going to be an action file. So we're going to create an action file, a new one, where you've got the icon here, you can add it, or you can add it here. Type in the word new, and we'll say book notes. And we can say keywords, and I have a book I'm working on called Concrete Jungle. And the action date is, I've got to get it done today. So we're going to add that to action 2. Now, as Janet mentioned, I have 2 other books. So what we're going to do, I've come across a contract for my book on Amazon. All right, so I'm going to go to my reference files. I am going to add a new file, and it's going to be book contract, and I'll say on Amazon, and maybe I'll refer to the name of my book, Lost in Your Own Office, and just leave it at that. Category, not important at this time. Action date, not important. It could be important if I needed to review the contract, say, in 6 months. So we could go ahead, maybe 6 or 9 months, or 9 months here, and maybe on October 1st, we're going to go ahead and we're going to have to pull that contract to look at. So that is adding the feature of being able to have a to-do list based on my folders. Okay, so I just added just a couple. When you are setting up your Paper Tiger system for the first time, I highly encourage you to get help, and you can get help by getting an assistant to help you very quickly and easily going through your files. When you do this, try to be unemotional about it. You know, I know a lot of people want to get organized, and part of the process that holds people back is they get emotional about it because they think, gosh, you know, I didn't take care of this, or oh my gosh, I forgot all about that. Well, if you work with someone else, and this is something I do with clients even virtually, you know, I help you cut through the chase. Let's look at the file, make a decision, whether it's action or reference, and get it in here. If there's something you need to do, we can put it in the action date and make sure that you address it after we get the system set up. Okay, so let me give you some options here of learning a little bit more about the database. As you can see, you've got item name, keywords, and category. Well, there is another area under database preferences of how to access information in your database. There's a section called notes, and I had notes that was not included, so there's a whole nother column called notes that we can add to our database. So let's update that. And you're going to see that I now have another area called notes. Now, why I like to see notes is, say for instance, when I was referring to my book contract, you can use notes to determine, I recommend to people that the notes area is to say, why did I have that action date? And what I'll say is review contract and update online credentials, whatever that may mean. So whatever you need to do as an activity, go ahead and put it in there. So that is just a couple of the very basic things that you can do with setting up your Paper Tiger online account. Now, when I opened up database preferences, this is where we got the newness of what's going on in the Digital Tiger world. Under database preferences, now you have the option to include your digital search with your Google account. So I'm going to go ahead and activate a digital search, and we're going to go ahead and update database.
Anne, I think it's important to mention here that you have already activated Digital Tiger in your Paper Tiger Online Pro account.
You read my mind. That was my next slide.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Okay. All right. So, going back to what Janet said, is when you, I already set up my Google account to connect with my my Paper Tiger online account. Now, how I did that is, okay, let's go back.
Hide the pending item thing.
Okay, let's go ahead and hide this.
All
right.
Go to the dashboard.
All right, so for those of you who, okay, now you know that there is a way that you can get to your electronic files. But once you have your Paper Tiger online account, you're going to have, back to where we started, the dashboard. And on your dashboard, you're going to see on my dashboard that I have activated my Google Docs account down here. So you're going to wonder, how do I get there? So you go into your account settings. We all have our account settings set up on available at any time. And this is your registration information. You see my name, my users. You see that I have just the pro account. As I said, here's your list of things. You've got the free account, there's a basic account, and then there's a pro account. And the pro account is, for an individual who works at home like myself. And then there's business, which has the availability of upgrading to multiple users. So when I have an assistant or two, I upgrade to the business account so that I can have more people using it. And as you can see, you can be unlimited. I've worked with companies. I think I've had as many as like 18 to 24 users. So you can use it in a fairly large organization. And I have a lot of fun with that. Okay, so once you know your account, then what you'll see is the securities and questions that the Monticello company asks you. One, make sure you always have the secure connection for secure preferences. And then this area here would say disconnect or connect. Janet, do you recommend that I go ahead and disconnect it and reconnect it?
You can if you want to. It'll just show you how quick it is.
Okay. All right. So I just don't want to have technical problems. So let's hope it's not going to have any technical problems. Now I'm going to disconnect it. So you can disconnect it at any point. Why you would want to, I don't know, except if you were demoing it to somebody. But we just disconnected mine for the purposes of this webinar. Okay, so now we are at the beginning of activating your Digital Tiger with Google Docs. So this is making the assumption you have a Google Docs account. If you don't have a Google Docs account, the system will prompt you to set one up. I do have a Google Docs account, so it's okay. So we're going to connect your Paper Tiger account to Google Docs here. We hit OK. And what it's doing is this is a permission screen here. Yes, you're going to want to give permission to the Monticello company and your Paper Tiger program to grant access to your Google Docs accounts. So now we're going to grant access. Okay, and you're back to the screen. Excuse me, and you're going to see that now it says disconnect. So that means you are connected. All right, so we're going to go back to my account. And I got my files. Oops, that's not the one we wanted to look at. Never mind. We're going to go to the S&O files for webinar. Okay, and here we have my database. And you'll see that it allows you to have a paper search or a digital search. So if you don't see these up here, you're not hooked into the Digital Tiger account. But you can see that we are. Now, for those of you who don't have a Google Docs account, I'm going to give you a preview. It's going to look a little busy because I've got a lot of information in there. But here is my Google Docs account. So, it basically starts out that you have like a Gmail account. You're going to see a bunch of my emails. And I'm going to quickly look at them because it's an older account. And you're going to see you've got Google Docs in your Gmail account. Now, why Google Docs? I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this. I am going to go into one of my folders called Paper Tiger. Okay. The world is going virtual, as a lot of you may have heard. And what that means is when we're going virtual and we're working out of the cloud, what that refers to is being able to access your files virtually anywhere. As long as you have an internet browser, you can log into, for instance, a Google account. And since Google is the #1 platform to access information, #1 with security, and the cheapest out there to store your data, that's why Monticello made the decision to use this as the synchronization tool for you to store your electronic information. So one of the things that you need to understand about using the Paper Tiger with Digital Tiger is you're going to learn to move all of your hard drive files onto into the Google Docs world. Now, as you can see in this Google Docs area, they have what they call collections. And collections equal folders on the Microsoft platform. So what you're going to be doing is transferring your electronic files on your hard drive over to the Google Docs platform. And yes, that sounds a little overwhelming to some people, and it does take a little time, and that's where I help you in my free consultation, or even, it's not even just, it's a free how-to, let you know how to get started to start moving things over. And if you need a little bit more help getting it done, I'm happy to work with you. But once you have your files into the Google Docs environment, you're going to start thinking logically like you do on your hard drive on your PC. And it'll be organized in a very similar way. Okay, so for instance, now you've got your Google Docs set up, and you'll see that I had let's go back to my Paper Tiger. I had a file referring to books, and I may have a piece of paper, like a contract, in my paper file called books, but I really don't know whether it's electronic or it's paper. So what I do is I go ahead and type in the word book, and what you're going to see is that I have Google Docs files with the word books. Janet, can you hear me okay? And see everything okay?
Yes, ma'am, I'm good. You're good.
Okay, all right. I was just getting an unusual. Okay, all right. So you're going to see that when I typed in the word book, that what it did is it immediately went into my Google Docs files, and it shows that I have 44 files that are electronic files in my Google platform. I'm going to go down a little bit here, and what you're going to see is that I also have a lot of files in there. Okay, now you see where we were looking at my Paper Tiger database, that I have that one file in my Paper Tiger database in my action files for book notes, and I also have one file with my book contract. Okay, so now you don't have to wonder whether the book contract is in physical form or if it's in electronic form, because the Paper Tiger looked in both areas. So knowing as the world is changing into electronic, if you're starting to scan things and are getting yourself a little overwhelmed, whether it's in a paper file or in a digital file, by storing everything in the Google Docs environment and using your Paper Tiger, you will be able to find everything in one search engine. Now I want to point something out here. that, did you notice I used the keyword of book? Well, that was the word I was looking for. But if you can see, the first file under my Google Docs that it showed was just my proof. And the word book isn't in there at all. And the reason is because when you upload information into the Google Docs environment, the documents become OCR recognizable. OCR means that it reads optical character recognition. It reads all the actual words within that document. So it's pretty cool that you only have to do minimal keywords. You don't have to do keywords. All you have to do is, when you're in your Google Docs, to make sure that when you are uploading the documents, that you make sure that these are in Google Docs format, so that it finds the keywords within that document when you're looking for it. So as you can see, it's a little bit more comprehensive than just getting information in there. There are a few steps that you need to take to get familiar with using Google Docs. And for those of you who are self-learners, you can always go to the Google Support Knowledge Base, which is available just by doing a Google search. If you would like to be more strategic about it and would like some help with getting this process organized, that's where I work with people in my coaching program. Now, some ideas about to get you kind of started on getting information into the Google environment. In the Google Docs world, you can, one, create a document, which will go into this platform and storage area, or you can upload files that are on your hard drive. And I keep a folder on my desktop at all times, and what I have there is my upload to Google Docs. So whenever I have something that I want to move over to my Google Docs environment, every day or two, I'm always scanning things anymore. I upload everything into my Google Docs folder on my desktop, and then I just upload them into my Google Docs environment every couple of days so that everything's there. And then I go back and I empty out. Oh, I didn't mean to do that like that. Okay, I go in, I empty out my desktop, and I go to my upload to Google Docs folder. And you'll see I've got a couple little things in there. Okay, so there's a couple of things in there. No upload folder, and it goes into my Google Docs. I went kind of quick because I got some personal information in there of what I've been up to. So I like to give you just a quick overview to see what you can do. If you would like a little bit more hand-holding through that process, feel free to call me for that free consultation. Okay, so now back to our paper tiger. All right, so for those of you who are just learning about the paper tiger, some of the basics that you might want to know about is, once you set up your paper files and you put them into your system, you're going to have nice little options on how to work with this system. You can be done with this file, and there's a trash little option here. So you can say, I want to put this into the trash and get rid of that folder. We're going to cancel it because I don't want to put it in the trash. You can do things that I absolutely love with the reports. So once you set up all of your files into your paper tiger system, at the end of the day, you can create a list of all your files. And this list is really helpful for people who need to visually see the names of their files. And what you do is, this is your backup. so that once you set everything up into your Paper Tiger system, you can print out this list and have it available so you know at a glance where all your files are if you don't want to boot up your computer. And I'm going to go back on this list here, because one of the advanced options is that, say you've got 300 or 200 files in your reference files, and you say, well, how darn handy is that if it's all in number order? Well, what you can do is to create a list for your reference files and put them in item name. And what's going to happen then is it's going to list your report in alphabetical order. Now, what I do recommend is after you set up all your files that you print out an item list report specific for that location and place it in the front of the drawer. And maybe label that file called index report or item list report, so that if you don't want to open up your computer to look for something, you can look at this alphabetical list and know to go to item number 2 to pull the book contract. Another report that I absolutely love, and I recommend it to all clients to do this quarterly or at least annually. And what it's called is it's called a cleanout report. And what we're going to do, excuse me, is we're going to generate a cleanout report. And what this does is it gives you an inventory of everything. You can make it, again, specific to a location or all of your files. And what you do is you print it out, and it gives you a working document so that you can make decisions without having to dig through your file drawers. So you can look at it and say, maybe I want to take a look at that file. So you would hit review. Oh, I definitely want to toss those notes. I know what I'm doing now. Or you may want to keep the notes and say transfer them to archive. Or you want to do nothing and just leave it where it was. Where this report is extremely valuable is one, it's just helpful when you're doing it yourself. But if you're working with a team of people, for instance, I was working with a legal department at a company, and there was I think there was like a dozen attorneys. And what we did is we did a clean-out report of all of their cases, and we gave a copy of this to every attorney, and they told us what their thoughts were with what they wanted us to do with those files. They were way too busy to take the time to dig through the file drawers on a Saturday and do an effort to go through the files. So the clean-out report allowed them to look at it in their own time, and if they needed to review it, fine. We pulled it for them to review it. But if they said definitely toss it or transfer it or leave it as it is, we had a document indicating the decisions that were made. So it is very helpful in a team environment, or for those extremely busy people that really don't have time to work side by side with their assistants to organize their files. Now, as I said, maybe, for instance, somebody said, oh, in that report, well, I really liked that reference report, and on the file cleanout report, they said, you know what I want to do is that book contract, it's long gone, we're done, and we're not going to be needing that anymore. So let's go ahead and transfer that. We're going to move it to archives. So you can go ahead and move it to archive, and the system will ask you, do you want a reminder that you're doing this, or are you physically going to put it in an archive box right now? Well, let's say I'm not ready to put it in an archive box right now. So let's just say move this item. Paper Tiger will show that a transfer is pending right now. So that means you haven't moved it quite yet. And we look at the archive location, you are going to see that there's a transfer coming in pending, but we don't know what it is yet. So when you're physically ready to go and move that file from one location to another, You go to the confirmation area and you identify that we're going to move the book contract out of reference 2 and move it to the archive 1. Go ahead and confirm it. And it's out. So now when we look up the word book, I'm going to type in the word book. And again, what you're going to see is everything that we have in Google Docs. Excuse me. And then we're also going to have down here that it's pulled up, that we still have the word book in action, but the contract is now in archive. Now, another thing is we may decide when you were taking that contract and no longer wanted to have the paper version, because it was only one sheet of paper. Why do I want to put it in another box? It's at this point that you can feel absolutely comfortable to scan that document into your Google Docs and know that it's available in electronic format, and you can purge that file, that piece of paper, by shredding it or throwing it out, whatever you choose, or recycling it, and know that you will have the actual file available. Okay, this is going to be the proof. This is going to be a long file, but what we do is say it's a contract. You would look at your Google Docs, you will open it, and you will see kind of a rough draft of what it looks like in your Google Docs, which is like a Google Docs working format. And then what I would do is you download it. You can download it as Word. And you're going to see that it was downloaded onto your hard drive. I picked a really big file, sorry about that. And you can see it synchronizes with whatever word system that you have. I can't believe how fast this hour has gone. I am looking at the clock and realizing it is 5 to noon, or 5 to whatever time zone you're in, and I haven't even had a chance to look at our questions. So I just want to show you this very quickly, that you can see how it's going to pull up the Word document. And I'm going to point at a specific thing here that's really handy. Is for people who have been on a hard drive and they want to upload to a storage system, one of the things that they've never liked is that then you have to remember to upload it again. Google offers a freeware called Google Cloud Connect, that when you then again work on the document again, you can synchronize it to your Google Docs account, and it'll automatically be available again through your digital search and available on your Google Docs. I'm closing out the document in search of time here. So Janet, wow, do we have any questions here that I can answer in the next couple of minutes?
I know, Ann, you've just been on a roll there, and I have been answering them one-on-one as they come through. Thomas asked us if I convert a file to Google Docs format, can I get it back in the native format, file format? And I answered yes. They would simply open the Google Docs, then on the Google Docs document, and then click on File and select the option to download file as, and then you can select to download the file at whatever program are offered for that file type.
Yeah, which is exactly the sample. Okay, which is the sample that I just did.
Right, right. You had mentioned at the first, when you were first logging in, about the rebooting the password. Lori wanted to know if that was available 24 hours a day, and yes, it is. Simply, if you don't remember your password, simply click on the link that you've forgotten your password, answer the question that it asked you, and then it will send you an email with a link to reset that password. You were talking about getting some file boxes to move your files over to, and Karen suggested that rectangular laundry baskets work well in place of banker boxes.
Oh! That's great. Okay.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, great tip.
So, right. Now, of course, they're not going to sit in like the banker's boxes and that kind of thing.
No, they won't.
It's a workaround. So, Tracy has a concern about the security of digital documents in Google Docs, and I have given her a knowledge-based article that we created and actually copied from the Google Docs knowledge base, and I will paste that into the chat section in a little bit for everyone to see. And to answer the question, basically, is Google Docs is in with your Gmail account, and it's very secure. Google is a very reputable and you know, it's a company that's not going anywhere. They continually update their security system, so they're very secure. Ron wants to know if we plan to integrate digital search with Dropbox. Currently, we do not have plans to connect with Dropbox, but only through Google Docs, simply because that Google Docs offers a very low-cost digital file location to store your digital documents into. Teresa wants to know about, is there a limit to the space in Google? And yes, there is. We also have a knowledge base article for Google Docs storage, but any of this information can also be found on Google Docs support knowledge base, where you can go to support.google.com/docs, D-O-C-S, and you'll be able to find out any information like that that you need that's concerning Google Docs. Teresa also wants to know if she were to switch from the desktop version to the PaperTiger Online, can everything in her database be transferred to the web version, or would she have to re-enter all that information? And the answer to that is you absolutely can import your old desktop version database into PaperTiger Online, or have our support team to import it for you by simply emailing our support team at support@thepapertiger.com, attach your desktop version database, and let them know the email in which your PaperTiger Online account has been set up under. So I think that's all of the questions that we have.
Okay, and as you can see, for those of you who are interested, I've added a little information about my coaching program that if you're interested to get set up for that, I'd be happy to get you signed up today. And I'm giving 2 free months of the PaperTiger Online to those who sign up by midnight tonight. As you can tell, I am incredibly enthusiastic about this process, this program, and I just have seen small miracles, even just with my own office, by using this new product. And my goals of getting into an electronic office are happening. I am so happy to have that paperless office getting more and more of a reality. You'll still need PaperTiger for your paper, because paper is not going away. So if you want some help, call me today and get signed up, and let's get you forward, moving forward to a great 2012.